Okay, good morning, Dr. Sumter. Hey, Brittany. This is my video. I apologize for it to be this late. However, as you can see, I'm here. I have my student teacher, Mr. Dr. Baker Jr. is what we call him, and this is our pre-observation conference. So I'm going to try not to look at the camera, but just to make it as lengthy as possible, just bear with us. So yeah, all right, you can introduce yourself if you want to.
Hello everyone. My name is Kevin Baker Jr. I am Miss Harden's student teacher. I am a senior at Georgia State University, and yeah, super excited to be here.
Yay! All right, okay, so let's get started. So today's your lesson on This Little Light of Mine. I love that song. All right, so can you tell me a little bit about why you chose to name it this and what you're hoping to accomplish for this lesson?
Sure. So I came up with the title. I'm very big on creating titles for a lot of lessons because I feel like it makes it more personable, not only for the students, but also for me, because I believe that as an educator, I should have a personal connection with the materials and lessons that I'm teaching, or I'm just becoming a script, and that's not what I want to be at the end of the day. And so the standard talks about light interaction and how light travels and how it interacts with other objects and everything. And so, since it was light, the first song that came to my mind was This Little Light of Mine. And so, through the lesson and the stations that the students are going to be doing, they'll be able to see if the light can shine or if it won't shine. So, yeah.
Okay. And the group of students that Kevin is going to be working with today is my WIN block. And at my school, WIN stands for What I Need. And since I have a gifted certification, I have all of the gifted students and high achievers. So what the gifted students and high achievers need is X amount of hours per school year for enrichment. And so this is going to be an enrichment lesson. So the standard is S4P1. You mind reading that for me?
Obtain, evaluate, and communicate information about the nature of light and how it interacts with objects. Subsection A, plan and carry out investigations to observe and record how light interacts with various materials to classify them as opaque, transparent, or translucent. Subsection B, plan and carry out investigations to describe the path light travels from a light source to a mirror and how it is reflected by the mirror using different angles.
Okay, perfect. So now that we know the standard, I see that the background and interest is mirrors, phones, containers, community, and food. We have the cultural and community assets, but I want to highlight the 3 to 5 question pre-standard survey. Do you mind explaining or just giving me like a brief something about how you're going to gauge the students' understanding of light interaction?
Yes. So in the past all of the couple of pages, I apologize in advance for the people looking at this. My lesson plans tend to be very detailed. But in the engage section, I spend about 5 to 7 minutes, and I did put that as a note to self because sometimes I can become very long-winded when I talk. And so it's basically like a formative assessment slash like open or do now, where the students will be answering certain questions for me to gain an understanding of what they already know about this topic. So it's somewhat like a verbal KWL. And so the students can tell me what they know about light interaction, what they know about certain vocabulary words, what they want to know, and then what they learned at the end of the lesson and the stations. And the learn part will be in the formative assessment in the evaluate section of the lesson plan.
Okay, perfect. And so before every lesson, it's always important to address misconceptions. And since fourth grade science is on space right now, what do you think are some misconceptions that students might have when you mention light?
I think one of the main misconceptions is that they'll probably automatically think about the sun, since right now we're putting a lot of emphasis on the sun, and this lesson does steer away from the unit plan that we're on at the moment, and is specifically talking about light, whether that's man-made light, engineered light, or natural light. And so I believe one of the main misconceptions that I can think of will be them interpreting light as the sun, whereas in my lesson it's mainly going to be lasers and a flashlight from a cell phone.
Yep, I was waiting for you to say sunlight. Perfect. Okay, and how are you planning to address those misconceptions?
Through our verbal discussion, and also in the vocab, there will be a section where we talk about the different forms of light and how there are man-made light that comes from certain parts of gases and things reacting with each other. I want to make sure that it's not too broad that a lot of it might go over the students' heads, but it is deconstructed to where it is still high level, but also the students are able to gauge it at the same time.
Perfect. Okay, so I heard you say that sometimes you can become long-winded in your engage. Trust me, I can too. So I'll be sure to make sure that I keep the timer and give you a signal if you go over 7 minutes. Is that cool?
Yes.
All right, cool. Okay, how much time are we at? 6 minutes. Oh, we're doing good. All right, 4 more minutes. So as I'm looking through your lesson plan, thank you for being extremely detailed, because I know that as a coach, sometimes when I'm planning, I'm just like, this is what I'm doing, boom, and come see for yourself. So I appreciate the details that you're giving in the lesson plan, because it's going to answer any questions that I may have later. And I can definitely screenshot his lesson plan. Oh wait, no, it's sent already. I can definitely upload the lesson plan for this assignment as well. So that way you can see the same details that I'm seeing. Okay. You have your elaborate section. Okay, so for the lesson plan, the section that says differentiation for individual students, we may not need to differentiate much, because like I said, this group is the WIN block and their enrichment. So we don't have any students with ELL or ESOL. However, I am ESOL certified. So the students that we do have that are ESOL, they're not in any type of IEPs or 504s. They don't have that. The one student that we do have with a 504, his needs are already addressed. So he's good. We don't have any RTI students, but all of them are gifted. So we don't have to differentiate much for that. But like Kevin said before, he does have stations. How many stations do you have?
2.
2 stations. So the students will be in stations working together, and we have about 14 students altogether. Okay, so the section that says differentiation for individual students, you know how it says IEP, 504, ELL, SOL, LMNOP. The struggling learners, is that a GSU thing, or did you type in struggling learners?
I don't like to consider students as struggling learners. I consider them as students who may not be on target yet. They are making the matriculation and transitioning to be on target. So that part I reworded it as still developing.
Got it. Okay, that was going to be my only suggestion. We never want to refer to the students as still developing. As struggling. All right, so we're good here. Talked about the modifications, and so are you excited for your lesson? What do you?
I am. The only thing was, since it is during the WIN block, and WIN block is such a short amount of time, and there's a lot, when I plan lessons, I tend to make them like these big circus shows. So there's a lot of elements, but hopefully we can get through at least half of this today. And then when I return next week, maybe it can be a continuation for them. And then also, I do want the students to make sure that they're building a personal connection with the lesson, because I think that's the emphasis on being a culturally responsive educator, making sure that they have a personal connection with it. So since we are dealing with light, we interact with light every day. So then after the lesson and throughout the lesson, some of them may want to point out a connection that they make while I'm speaking or while another student is sharing. So they'll be like, oh, I have light on my flashlight on my phone, since a lot of our students do have phones, and also just like lights at their home or what they see in nature and within their community.
Good. It's always important for them to make connections. And I'm just making a mental note. Make connections with self.
And I think a lot of that will be able to happen like when we're doing the discussion of what each vocabulary word means,
Mm-hmm.
so that we could talk about like, oh, well, where do you see reflection happening, or like, you know, a reflection or something of that sort.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then for the purposes of the video, can you talk about the vocabulary real quick? What words do you want our geniuses to add to their scientific vocabulary?
So one of the words, when I think about it, we've been talking about for a long time, but I did choose a different vocab word, definition for it, which was light, since we're talking about sunlight a lot right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the vocabulary words are light, translucent, opaque, reflection, transparent, and light source.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think light source will also be able to help them make that difference between between sunlight and man-made light, because our phones and other objects that we interact with every day are forms of a light source because they emit light instead of it being naturally produced.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And my only suggestion right now is just to make sure that majority of the students can talk about or define the vocabulary before you begin. That'll be a great way to make sure that it doesn't go over their head. All right, we're at 11 minutes. Yay! We're done. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Sumter. Thanks, Brittany, and whoever else is going to watch this. Thank you so much for being patient with me. All right, bye.